Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg,
And I'm Jordan.
and today we've got a conversation.
And today's conversation circles around a lot about December, and we're coming up on some important holidays. It's all about who's good and who's naughty.
That's right. Who's naughty and who's nice, and that's really what we're looking for here with our lists for you this month. So we wanted to go ahead and break down naughty and nice into automakers, but that would kind of take forever. So then we decided, well, maybe we're going to do regions instead. So today we're going to do a little naughty and nice for you from both U.S. and European manufacturers.
Yeah. So we're going to be starting off this podcast talking about who is nice from North America. And I'll start us off with, I think, one vehicle that has gone kind of under the radar recently. It came out to a big bang, but that's the Cadillac Lyriq. It's kind of starting off a revitalization of the brand, heading into their EV era. Cadillac has been known to kind of like downplay its interiors kind of a bit in terms of its priorities, and I think the Lyriq has put a new emphasis on that. We're looking at crystal detailing, a lot less of that piano black that we're seeing in the previous models, lots of different textures, lots of different design materials. We got that huge 33-inch display coming in, and they really pioneered that direction. So on top of that, you have a really solid platform. It's not like the sportiest vehicle in this category, but when I think about like true Cadillacs and what's successful, it's the Escalade. And the Escalade's there because it's big, it's bold, it's brash, but it's comfortable and it's got lots of space. So the Lyriq in its category, it's roomy, it's pretty big, it's got a lot of range, it's pretty powerful. It's everything that makes a Cadillac a Cadillac. It's luxurious, comfortable, and I think it's a really great start for Cadillac in terms of its EV era.
Agreed. I mean, it's just a big boulevard bruiser. This is kind of getting back to Cadillac at its roots, right? It's going to be something that people desire to own. It's going to have the upscaled interior versus a lot of the General Motors peers, right? It's actually beautiful inside of having the opportunity to sit inside one, and it's just a lovely place to be. It's got a lot of detailing. It's got a lot of comfort. And, with the new Ultium batteries, it's going to have a great amount of range. It's going to be a good car to have. So, I think it's a great first step. They're going to take that design language forward. They're going to carry it forward to the Celestiq and the new electric Escalade, which is going to be gangbusters, right? Because, that thing is going to sell like bonkers, right? Because,
for sure.
Yeah.
It's got the Escalade brand, and you got that new cutting-edge EV technology. So.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, good choice. I think it's a good start to our good and nice
nice
here for this holiday season. So we'll give Cadillac.
All right.
They're not expecting a lump of coal for that one, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
No. So my first choice is something we have talked about here a little bit on the driver's line, but it's so good I'd feel remiss not to include it here.
Okay.
That is the Corvette Z06.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Again, we're not going to belabor it here because we've talked about it previously, but this is what an outstanding platform. You've got a mid-engine supercar, flat plane crank V8, 670 horsepower, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. I mean, it's just an outstanding performer. 5th on the list of the Car and Driver Lightning Lap.
Pretty insane.
I mean, first is the Senna, just to give you an idea of
the performance
and the peers that it's in, right?
Yeah.
It's just an outstanding platform, and I think the fact that General Motors brings that to us today is just unbelievable. So I'm going to give them another present.
Here.
Instead of a lump of coal for that.
And I think you're right on the money with that, because that was going to be one of my choices.
Oh.
But I had a feeling Greg was going to pick that. He loves Corvettes. I think that's a fantastic choice, obviously. I mean, the Corvette has always played above its own weight class, and the C8 just brings that to a whole nother level. And the fact that we were able to move that engine in the back, now we have a whole lot of other opportunities, like that E-Ray that's just come into play, and we can't wait to see what that Z01 is going to do.
Z01 is just going to be outstanding.
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny I don't know if you've noticed the GM parts catalog, right? So there's been so much back and forth with what that engine's going to be in the ZR1. They now show that I forget what they're calling it, the LT6 or something. I don't know, but it's going to be like in the catalog. It's listed as a diesel now. It's also not going to be a diesel, but all signs are pointing to being the flat plane crank with 2 turbos attached.
Right. So
GM's playing games to try to keep people off the set.
Clever. Yeah. Very clever. Yeah. So moving away from sports cars, because we tend to talk about them a lot, I think another kind of vehicle that should be getting a lot more press, but it doesn't maybe, are the GM mid-size pickup twins, the Canyon and the Colorado. I think that, in that segment, there's a lot of competition now all of a sudden. That market has become pretty hot. And in that segment, they're coming out with a lot of different technologies that their brand, the other competitors don't have. that new four-cylinder is just wacky. And it's so massive, but it's able to take so much turbocharging. You're going to see so much more from that coming down the road, and I'm really excited about that. And it's not something that other competitors are doing. So it's really curious to see what direction GM's going, because they're not normally known for being risk takers. But on top of that, you're coming into a cabin that's hugely upgraded from the previous generation. And I think it's given a run for its money, that Tacoma, because the Tacoma came out, it's pretty nice, don't get me wrong, lots of new features on that one too, but GM is really stepping up its game when it comes to off-road performance too, which I love to see, because there's some
R2, you got the Bison, right?
Exactly.
They just come out with all these new models to try to make sure that there's a mid-size truck for everybody.
Yeah, which I really love. So the full-sizes have always been a strong suit for GM, but seeing them come into that mid-size game and stepping up their game there is really great. So props there. No cold coming your way.
Yeah, no, agreed. And, you know, the mid-size game is kind of the old full-size game, right? Because those trucks are so big now.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just really neat to see them actually focusing some energy there, because a lot of people don't want a truck as massive as the full-size, right? So they want something that's going to fit in their garage. It's going to handle their day-to-day duties, right, without being too cumbersome to move around.
Exactly, yeah. And to park and all that,
Yeah, all good. So, my next on the nice list,
okay,
before we get to our naughties, is Rivian.
Great choice.
I just want to bring out Rivian because I'm going to go ahead and mention them as a brand instead of a specific model, because they only have two.
Yeah.
So the R1S and the R1T, they've just done so much, you know, starting from scratch, right? So they kind of went the opposite direction of Tesla. They're like, hey, we're going to start with the truck. We're going to do a little bit different this time. Yeah. And so they filled a niche that really wasn't there, right? And so they, you know, started the kind of the whole EV revolution towards the truck side of the segment. So they show that a truck can be fun to drive. They got quad motors, tons of horsepower, accelerates as fast as a sports car.
It's insane.
It's something that weighs, you know, 6,000-7,000 pounds. Looks are a little unique. Yeah. You know, my wife does not like how they look.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
So she thinks they kind of look weird in the front, but I actually think they look cool.
Little pig nostrils.
Yeah, I think they kind of looks like a bull bar.
Yeah.
And so that's how my brain.
Yeah, I kind of dig them too.
And the inside is beautiful. They're beautifully appointed. You know, really high quality materials. Obviously very expensive. But I think it's just a nice opportunity and nice entrance into the segment.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out. And I think they play to the strength of utilizing all the space in an EV really well too, right? They got that front going on, but they also have that tunnel that's in between the cab and the bed. No one's doing that. That's definitely unique. And that's where you're going to see sales coming into play, because people want unique things. So yeah, props to Rivian, because I think coming out with a pickup first is pretty smart. Considering the market that you're entering. Yep,
you developed with the SUV right on the heels of it, so they came out very quickly with the R1S right after the R1T.
Yeah, so we'll see how it stacks up to the Cybertruck. But
well, the fact that it's already you can buy it is a huge.
There's a win. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Congrats, Rivian. Absolutely, no coal for you.
No coal. All right, time for the naughties of the United States.
Indeed, indeed. So, for myself, I found myself gravitating towards one particular automaker. For both of my choices, unfortunately. So my first one goes out to my dear friends at Chrysler. You know, the 300, when it came out, really set the market ablaze. It was definitely a game changer. Came out with standout styling. It really kind of almost gave you like a luxury type performance car for a very affordable price, considering where it was. And that was like 20 years ago. And we really haven't done much to it since then.
Right. And when it came out 20 years ago, it was on a platform that was already 10 years old.
Exactly.
Which that platform is now 30 years old.
So, you know, it's still pretty stylish, don't get me wrong, but it really needs a ton of updating. And the fact that the last kind of update that they gave it just, it's typical Stellantis. Let's shove a bigger engine in it.
You know what? And that's the 300C you're referring to, which is very, very cool. I mean, because they're taking the 6.4 liter Hemi and shoving it in there. You get 485 horsepower. It's going to be their swan song for it. Right? I mean, honestly surprised they didn't go ahead and just shove the Hellcat engine.
Exactly.
707 horsepower. But
I'm surprised myself.
They were a little restrained.
Yeah.
But I mean, the platform is so old. Right?
Yeah.
So you've got the 300 V8, which is just the base Hemi, the 5.7. Costs like well over 40 grand. I think it's over 50.
Yeah.
And then the new 300C is over 60.
But no one's paying that. No one's paying over 50 for that.
not for the
but
V8, but
I'm sure there's going to be markups, for the C. And the fact that people are going to be paying markups on that, I don't know.
That's something that is so ancient is that just boggles my mind.
There's definitely better choices out there.
A good car at its bones, but it's just very, very old bones.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, especially since Chrysler's just relying on that and a minivan, I'd really like to see something fresh out of there.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, I am also going to pick on Chrysler.
oof.
Stellantis, actually, here a little bit. This is a new segment they've recently entered within the last couple of years. Hasn't really been a sales success for them. I mean, they've moved quite a few of them, but not a lot. And when you think of Jeep,
I know where we're going with this.
you don't think of $100,000 Jeep.
Oh, no.
And since you stole one of mine, I'm going to steal one of yours because I was going to do this for the 300 as well. So I'm obviously talking about
The Wagoneer.
Wagoneer, yes. Which looks-wise looks ungainly, right?
Oh my gosh,
It doesn't
yes.
look proper.
No.
There's something about it, and I really can't even put my finger on it. It looks okay from the front, it looks okay from the back, but from the side, it just looks like a child drew it.
For me, like when I'm looking at it, I think there's two things that really bother me about it. It's the wheel size to the size of the body just really throws me off. I almost kind of feel the same way about the GM full-sizers, if I'm honest with you, but they definitely play it off better. But that rear, like, I don't know, just after the wheels, right? It just looks like someone like inflamed it. Like it has a disease. Like
Right.
it's just so not proportional at all.
And the
It's
roof and the
terrible.
windows, the way they're all separate, it just
Yeah.
is awkward.
And just like coming from a company that also has the Grand Cherokee, which is a really stylish
Grand
SUV.
Cherokee and the Grand Cherokee L
Yeah.
are both fantastic, beautiful vehicles as far as SUVs go. I mean, they're not like ridiculously beautiful like a Ferrari, but
Right.
In their space,
For sure.
they are good-looking vehicles, and they just completely missed the boat with the vehicle they want to compete with Range Rover with.
It's insane. So like, and that's another situation where let's add more screens, and that's going to solve the
I
problem.
know. Here's a screen for you on the passenger side,
Yeah.
and here's more screens for you on the driver's side.
Why am I bothering with this? Let's be real. Like when we're in a car, we're not looking at the proprietary screens on a vehicle, right? We're looking at the iPads, we're looking at the iPhones that we're bringing inside.
Exactly.
No one needs a screen on the dashboard. I mean, we're just adding stuff for the sake of adding it. And when you're looking at a car that ugly, and you're wondering what's going on with the sales,
Yes.
I mean, and here's an idea. Let's drop the V8 and just go to all 6 cylinders too.
Right.
So we're removing something that some people really enjoyed about it, dropping out some capabilities, and then jacking up the prices too. So it's got more expensive since the last year.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's completely unsurprising that this is one of the few vehicles right now that manufacturers are actually offering rebates on.
Yeah. Not surprising at all.
Yes.
Along with the Jeep Gladiator, honorable mention.
Honorable mention to Gladiator, yes.
That's a little tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, you stole mine. But it's so hated. It's worth mentioning twice, I guess. I mean, it's really a shame, though, because they could have a lot of potential in that market.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a mom-mobile. It really does. It reeks of it. And I just can't imagine what a lifted, jacked up off-road true Wagoneer would look like. It just looks ungainly.
It would look like it would fall over.
Yeah.
I mean, it just would not look right. And yeah.
Well,
That's a miss.
good night, America. We're going to head on over pond to Europe. So in Europe, obviously many countries, very diversified segment there in terms of European vehicles. But I'm going to start off somewhere that I think maybe the general public won't be so deeply involved in, and that's the UK. Don't get a ton of vehicles from the United Kingdom. And actually, both of my nice lists, vehicles from Europe, come from the United Kingdom. I wasn't really thinking about it until now.
You're going to steal another one of mine, aren't you?
So my first pick...
Here on the driver's side, we are of one mind. But go ahead.
All right, well, my first pick from Europe comes from the land of the light, and that is the Lotus Emira. It's our last gasoline-powered Lotus, and I think they've done a really fantastic job bringing supercar styling and capability down to a level, let's just say, it's not affordable, but certainly more affordable than a Ferrari, right?
Absolutely.
And it's all focused. I love that Lotus has a focus on lightness. It's their thing. They knock it out of the park every time, and this Emira definitely has not let go of that. It's very engaging from what we've read about. I can't wait to get behind one if I ever can, behind the wheel of one, because they really do a great job with that one. So that's my shout out there, Lotus. Great job. I'm a little bummed out about the Future Electric for that one, I'm not going to lie, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, and that was my choice.
Okay.
And as we mentioned in a previous video, it's got the Swan Song, it's got that Toyota 3.5 liter V6 in it with a supercharger on top of it. It's just is a well-suited powertrain. It worked for the Evora. It's going to work well in the Emira, but they're also offering a secondary option with using one of the Mercedes AMG
4 cylinders,
2-liter 4 cylinders paired with a DCT is going to be something that completely rapid. I mean, that's going to be something that's going to compete really strongly with like a Cayman.
Right.
And then, you've got the supercharged V6, which is going to slightly level it above. I feel like to like a like the 4-liter Caymans or something. Of course, Caymans are now moving to electric, which is sad. So we've got at least a state of execution here with the Emira for Lotus, which is nice. But wonderful chassis dynamics. One of the best cars you're ever going to drive. Also looking very forward to getting behind the wheel of one sometime soon. But I think it's a great choice, and our friends at Lotus, they know how to put a chassis together.
Certainly do. So props there. After that, I went to still United Kingdom. Went a little bigger this time though, and it's a brand that I've been kind of sad about lately because I'm not sure they have a direction at this point. But they have one vehicle that I think is a really standout in its category.
Which Jaguar did you pick up?
So I went with the F-Pace SVR, which I think is a true standout in its segment. So you got clean lines, which, a lot of the times when you're looking at these performance brands from Germany specifically, we're just adding on spoilers, we're adding on baffles, we're adding on everything you can imagine, right? The SVR is clean. Almost a sleeper-esque type situation. Inside, updated, we got a new UI system. It's really fantastic on the inside. Reliability, but you know what?
Right?
We're going to move on past that. We're going to breeze past that because that's going to be a fun vehicle for you. The fact that you can take your family and do donuts in a parking lot with that insane exhaust from that supercharged V8.
It sounds so good. That is one of the things Jaguar is so skilled at is the exhaust tuning. Like even there's V6s, the V6 supercharged F-Type sounded so great. And they've done the same in the F-Pace. They've just made every exhaust note in those sound phenomenal. And of course, the best of the breed is going to be the SVR. For sure. So I'm not sure where we're going after this because obviously they're going electric too. But it's really great that we have this SUV that has such a just ridiculous exhaust note. I would love to drive up and just picking up your kids at school with the SVR. Like, how cool would that be for your kids? It was like the Escalade V, right?
Yeah.
Is it there some people see an unassuming SUV pull up? Yeah, it's got some little, you see the quad exhaust, you see some of the better wheels and lower fascia.
The Traverse has quad exhaust.
Right, exactly. So,
no one would ever know.
Exhaust doesn't mean anything anymore, right? And so, you see it pull up and you're like, that maybe looks a little cool. But then all of a sudden you hear it fire up and it's just like the gates of hell open. And you're like, oh my God. So, Jaguar, welcome to our nice list.
There you go, finally.
Yes. So, for my nice selection here, it is something that we've talked on the driver's line a lot about, but they have such a broad spectrum of vehicles just in this one model category that for anybody who wants one, you got anything you want. If you want just a cruiser, they got one for you. If you want to go off-road, they got one for you. You want to go to a racetrack, they got one for you.
Which Porsche are you picking?
Exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 911.
There you go.
You've got the Dakar. Yeah. You want to go off-road, you got a Dakar. You want to go to a racetrack, you got the GT3 or GT3 RS. You got two choices. With the RS, they have DRS on it now, for crying out loud. It's like a race car.
Yeah.
It's literally a race car.
No one does variety better than Porsche. They really don't.
And that's how they make their money, right?
Yeah.
They just offer all these different models. The new ST.
No. I know.
Just the boggles the mind, and and they do such a great job of making these desirable, compilations of these vehicles, putting all the pieces that you want together. The Carrera T even.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that they're releasing that, they're going to see so much longevity from these names. It's going to be hard for them to replicate this down the future.
Right.
I need to keep track of all these different, because everyone loves these.
Yes.
Everyone loves these. So And the fact that the resale value on these is also going to be incredible.
9%.
They're fun to drive.
I literally looked up their depreciation on 911s. It's 9%.
That's insane.
Not everything else is obviously double digits.
Yeah.
And I think the next one is 14%. Next
Wow.
best.
Yeah, so you get something fun to drive and something that holds its value.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win. So, Porsche, kudos to you.
Yeah,
You're
great pick.
continually crushing with the 911 line, which, again, probably typecast here for us out the driver's line.
Yeah. We love our P cars.
Yep. It's undeniable with the success they've been having.
For sure. Well, Porsche's crushing it, but maybe we should move on to some choices that maybe we'd like to crush. From Europe.
I want to go first, so you can't steal it.
Fair enough.
Jordan just talked about a great SUV. I'm going to talk about one that's not so great.
Oh.
I'm going to talk about the BMW XM.
He hates it so much.
It is so ugly.
You don't say. Unless you're Helen Keller.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Unless that is a challenge that you face, is loss of sight. The XM is just an ugly vehicle, and it presents no value.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes me the most frustrated, beyond how it looks, beyond how it performs, is the fact that this is the second car that is a standalone car from the M division.
That's true.
What was the first?
Yeah, you got that.
M1.
The M1. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Right.
This is none of those things. It is ugly.
Yep.
If you want a fast SUV, you're better off getting the X5M.
That's true.
It's better in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, I mean, and then you had that red edition.
Oh.
And now it's just called edition.
No, label.
Label, that's right. Red label. Excuse me. Sorry, BMW fanboys. I mean, like...
It's just called label.
Yeah.
And they just made it uglier. They literally put lipstick on a pig is what they did.
Yes, they did. With those big old pig nostrils.
Yeah, the big old pig nostrils. Just rimmed them with red. Looks better.
I mean, they're trying to get attention for their brand and certainly working, I guess, but it's
we're talking about it, right? So I guess we're playing right to their hand, but
you're right. I mean, it's a bastardization of that M name, and it's a shame.
Yeah, so frustrating.
I had a feeling you were going to pick that. I didn't pick that one, so don't worry. But I am staying in Germany from my next pick, and this is almost like same idea, but we're going in a different direction. So I got to call out the Mercedes EQ line, just all of them, because they're essentially the same car. Just photocopied. So, I mean, we know that German companies love that saying, right? Same sausage, different length. Mm-hmm. I mean, this really takes it up to a whole new level. I mean, it's almost impossible to tell these things apart without standing right on top of them.
They're literally amorphous blobs. They have no style to them whatsoever. It just looks like a blob.
Yeah, it's just like, when you think about the classic Mercedes, like the classic Gullwing, right? Everyone gravitates towards
beautiful
true lines, balanced. I mean, and even like the more recent choices, like the more recent SL. Mm-hmm. I mean, beautiful car. Yes. And then you come out with this jelly bean. I mean, it's a jelly bean on wheels.
I understand you're trying to go for a loco fish and a drag, right? But, as we recently talked about the Lucid Gravity, big SUV, normal vehicle lines, right? 0.24
Yeah, it's crazy.
So beats anything in its class.
Yeah, certainly Mercedes could come up with a design that's more efficient than this. But, I mean, it's just so lazy. So, like, and then the interior. Again, with the screens. Everyone needs more screens. We got to have screens everywhere. Yes. Yeah, and it's the same design for every car you're coming out with. So why pay for the EQS when you can have an EQE? I mean, it's basically the same car, just a little bit smaller. So, I mean, I do hate that BMW is going in this crazy, wacky direction, but I almost give them a little credit for trying something new. I mean, it's just laziness coming out of Mercedes, and I think that we're going to see that coming out of sales. I just can't see them really doing well with these things down the road. They're going to come up with some new designs for these. Right. But yeah, just got to call you out. Sorry. It's an entire line of vehicles, but we're going with it.
And for my last one on the naughty list here in Germany, we're going to stay with Mercedes.
Okay.
Sorry, Mercedes. But for what you did to the C63, we have to mention you on this list. You're going to get a lump of coal in your stocking because you took that beautiful twin-turbo V8 out of the C63 and gave us a Turbo 4 with a hybrid system. This car's been universally panned across reviewers and just completely takes out everything that we held dear about the C63, adds in more screens, removes drivability. What seems to be like what Mercedes is moving for right now, which is just completely a shame. And the way the hybrid system engages is not smooth. It just it's so peaky now, right? And you just used to be able to ride on that fat wave of torque. Right. And now you just don't have that anymore. It's just so disappointing.
It's a complete change of personality for them. And it's a shame because that car was known for that. Right. I mean, it might not be the most precise car on track, but it's going to be fun hoon around. No one wants to hoon a hybrid.
No, nobody's going to hoon a hybrid. And that's what AMGs are known for is Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson always pointed out, he's like the best thing to do in a Mercedes is to go sideways. Yeah. If you want something that's going to cut a line, take a BMW.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's a great call.
If you want to hang the tail out, Mercedes, but who's going to hang out the tail of a hybrid? Yeah. 4-cylinder C63.
Yeah, come on.
If you want to call that the C45 or 43 or something like that, knock yourself out. Yep. But give us something good in the C63.
Exactly. I mean, there's such limited production anyway. Like, come on.
Cafe demands. Be damned. Come on.
Exactly. That's a great call out. I'm going to stay in Germany as well. I'm moving away from Mercedes. Okay. So we're going to stop beating up on Mercedes. Right. And I got to go home to Volkswagen.
Oh.
And
this is hard for him because he's a Volkswagen fanboy.
All right. Volkswagen. We got to talk about this ID line that you guys are coming out with, okay? I was going to go Golf, but at least the GTI is still engaging to drive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It just has a frowny face.
Yeah.
If that's that and the piano black are the worst of the concerns, then it's not that bad.
It's a tough pill to swallow. I'm going to swallow it for now, though. And I'm going to move on to the ID line. All right. And specifically, I'm looking at the ID4 because I'm seeing a similarity here between that and that Mercedes EQ line that I kind of brought up before in terms of this blobular, lazy design shape. And that ID4 is like if you just like told AI, right, design a boring, mid-size SUV for a commercial that no one's going to know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what it is. And I know Volkswagen was never really known for design necessarily, right? But they're known for clean designs.
Clean, crisp design that's almost timeless.
Right.
And that's what they've always been good
This
at.
is going to look dated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to look like, a toy. And inside, we're looking at something that looks cheap, feels cheap, is annoying to operate. And where are my knobs? Going back to that, right? You guys are going to be putting those back on, and we've heard that much coming from Volkswagen already. So, I understand we're trying to get away from Dieselgate and go all electric. I understand that.
I think Dieselgate is so far in the rearview mirror at this point that they don't need to try to actively separate themselves from it anymore. But I do think that's part of it. They're just going so strong with this ID line.
Yeah.
So it's just disappointing.
It is. Give your car some names for crying out loud, and let's give them some character again, because this is putting me to sleep. Yep. Okay, it's melatonin on wheels.
Yeah, agreed wholeheartedly. So, VW, we're looking at you. We know you can do better.
Yeah.
We just want to see it.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us on our naughty and nice list for the United States and Europe. Join us next week when we're going to continue our naughty and nice list, and we're going to go overseas to Japan and Korea.
Indeed. So join us there. Thanks.
As always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.